I show 9:30. Is that me?
Because I'm pushing the wrong button. Sorry, I'm pushing the old on button. We'll call the meeting to order of the Board of Directors of Western Municipal Water District at 9:30. And may we have roll call, please?
Thank you. Good morning. Director Gardner,
I am here.
Director Torres, Director Denstedt.
Present, good morning.
Good morning. Director Risby.
Good morning, I'm here.
Good morning. President Roten.
And I am here too. Good morning.
Good morning. President Roten, you do have a quorum today.
All right, thank you. And I would like to welcome Jake Arbalo to the podium to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And Jake, just before you do that, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, members of the board. My name is Jake Arbalo, Operations Technician 1 with the Distribution Department. I've been with Western Water for about 2 years now, and I'm here to lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, face the flag. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Jake, do you mind sharing with the board your prior job?
Oh,
Yes. Yeah, I spent 20 years in the Marine Corps. I retired from there, and then
oh, man, thank you.
and now this is my second career, my second opportunity to continue to serve.
Nice. Thank you so much.
That's the goal. I'll stay as long as you guys will have me.
Oh, nice.
That's recorded.
Very good. Okay. Do we have any public comments today?
We do not.
All righty. We'll move on to item 5, consent calendar. Before the board lets me know if there's anything they want to pull for discussion, we are going to pull item B, the minutes for the March 19th regular board meeting, just to verify a couple of little components of it, and that'll be brought back, I think, at the next board meeting, or?
Correct.
Okay, so we'll bring that back.
Oh,
Other-
so it's being removed.
It's being
Removed.
removed,
We're
it's
pulling
being
it.
pulled, yeah.
All right.
So it would be items A and then C through H for today's consent.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Okay, we have eager motions. Whenever you're ready, Tammy, would be great for roll call vote.
Director Gardner,
Aye.
Director Denstedt,
Aye.
Director Risby,
Aye.
President Roten.
Aye,
Thank you. The motion carries 4-0.
okay, thank you. Mr. Miller, any items to be added to the agenda today?
There's nothing to add today.
All right, we'll move on to the action agenda item number 7A, approve a capital budget increase for the planned replacement of 10 light-duty vehicles and modification of the lease financing approach with Enterprise Fleet Management. Mr.
All right.
Miller?
Thank you very much. I'm going to turn that over to Rick. This went through committee, and we'll let Rick explain it to the board.
Here we go. I'm actually very excited to be able to present this item because it really represents an effort on staff's part to review a program and look at how we might be able to improve it, and ultimately to find a way to save substantial amounts for the district on this item, an estimated savings of $200,000 for these 10 vehicles by reducing, in essence, interest expense, but retaining the benefits of the program. And so what's being requested of the board is really two things. One is, in order to take advantage of this program, we have to pay upfront for vehicles, and so our budget needs to reflect that. So that's adopting a capital project budget of $470,000 to replace 10 vehicles we were already planning on replacing. The change in the budget is that we had planned on doing lease payments for these over 5 years, and now we're bringing that essentially all up front. So it's within the overall financial plan, but for budget administration, we need the board's approval to do this up front. And the other is just to authorize the general manager to take advantage of this program going forward compared to the traditional program that we've been using with Enterprise. And so what it does is we're able to take advantage of all of the existing benefits that we have with Enterprise. And we found that program to be beneficial. One, buying vehicles through them, and we just proved this in a recent bid request, but we get the lowest price on the vehicles that we're looking for, even compared to doing anything on our own. And we found that through getting 3 bids from local dealerships. We get the highest resale value because we work through their auction network. And so you get the lowest value to buy, the highest value to resell. And then there's a tremendous administrative ease component to when we need to get them. Essentially, staff puts in their order after they figure out what they want, and we end up with them, a few months later once the manufacturers can produce them. And then you get what's a very significant benefit of keeping a newer vehicle class. We try and resell these after 5 years to get that top dollar on the resale value. But what that means is you're getting the highest fuel economies coming from the latest technology, the best safety features, which is tremendous for staff. And then your maintenance is minimal because you're sticking with just routine maintenance versus letting the fleet age and having to do some of the more major repairs. And so you keep all of those benefits with the lease structure that's very flexible, except now we don't essentially have to pay the interest component on the vehicles that comes with leasing, which in today's market is something like 10 or 11%, which would make it our highest interest charges that we pay on our debt. And so we're essentially eliminating that, but they retain a small fee for all the administrative work that they're doing that I just described. And so that's what we're proposing to the board today to take advantage of this program.
Okay, any questions?
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second? Okay,
Just a curiosity
And a
question. Yeah, just a curiosity question, sorry. Did you calculate, and again, just a curiosity question, don't mean to put you on the spot. What is the estimated savings that not having to pay interest would you kind of put on that? Because I think it's good to know sometimes dollar numbers.
Roughly $10,000 per standard truck. So with 10 vehicles, or 10 vehicles, sorry, I misquoted earlier. That would be $100,000 savings from this item. But that savings is ongoing for every vehicle that we do under this program.
See, so I just want to highlight those types of facts because that's a significant amount of money. I don't think anybody is going to shake their finger at $100,000 savings. So I think that's an excellent move. So thank you for that.
okay, we have a motion and a second.
Director Gardner.
Aye.
Director Denstedt.
Aye.
Director Rizvi.
Aye.
President Roten.
Aye,
Thank you. The motion carries 4-0.
thank you. And once again, I forgot to ask for public comments on that item.
We have none.
Okay. We'll move to item 7B. Are there any public comments?
No.
Okay. Mr. Miller?
Yeah. This is adopt resolution 3343 and 3344, designating authorized agents for grants and federal emergency management contracts. So we presented this to the EOWR committee yesterday. Ryan's going to make the presentation today.
Thanks, Craig. Good morning, President Roten and members of the board. Hope you're all doing well, as usual. As Craig said, 2 resolutions in front of you to streamline our administrative process for our federal grant funding agencies, FEMA, Cal OES, and USBR. So those are the 2 in front of you. I was going to make a silly joke that Josh and I are becoming 007 agents, James Bond, because the term that the federal agencies use is authorized agents. So it's kind of fun for us to keep it light. But that's what's in front of you. Pretty straightforward. Again, just to help streamline our administrative efforts with our grants and take a burden off of Craig to a certain degree.
Okay, any questions from the board?
I'll move approval.
Second. And I also see memes in your future. Just saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we have a first and a second.
Can I ask who the first and the second were? I was in the middle of
My
switching.
motion.
That's okay.
Director
Thank you.
Dennstead, second.
Yep.
Director Gardner.
Aye.
Director Dinstedt.
Aye.
Director Risby. President Roten.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 4-0.
Okay, we'll move on to item C. Approve a capital project budget increase and award construction and professional services contract for permanent generators at Mockingbird Pump Station. Do we have any public comments?
We do not.
Okay,
Derek will do the presentation today. We heard this at EOWR on Monday.
Yes. All right, so this is for a request to put in a permanent generator at the Mockingbird Pump Station. This project is about preparing for the worst while delivering reliable service every day. The station currently uses a battery storage system to reduce energy costs during peak hours, but that system isn't designed to carry us through a sustained outage. That's why we've been planning to install a permanent backup generator at this location. This effort started back in 2017. We submitted a grant application to FEMA, and we did receive a hazard mitigation grant. And since then, we've been working with BSC Engineering to develop a design that includes 2 generators. That's enough to support the current and future needs at the site. The costs have gone up significantly since the original estimate due to inflation, material price increases, and added integration needs. We took proactive steps last year by pre-purchasing the generators to avoid supply chain delays and probably avoid some of that inflation. And now we're ready for construction and need to move forward with the contracts. We're requesting a budget increase of $2,774,300 to cover the construction contract with Southern California Contracting and the for construction management and inspection services with TKA Engineering. So the good news is that FEMA will reimburse up to $1.44 million of eligible cost. And Western will cover the balance upfront and seek reimbursement of all the eligible cost. They asked before the board today is to approve a budget increase from $731,000 to $2,774,300 for the Mockingbird Pump Station Permanent Generator Project, and to award a construction contract to Southern California Contracting Company in the amount of $1,352,170, and award a professional services contract to TKA Engineering in the amount of $244,995. We have on the Zoom Philip Waterman, who's a representative from Southern California Contracting Company, and Shelby Kelly, who will be the project manager from TKA Engineering. We're available to answer any questions that the board may have for us on this project.
okay. Any questions from the board? Of course you do. I bet I know what it is.
Well, first of all, I wanted to thank my colleague for his comment on Monday at committee meeting, since I was on Zoom and
His fill-in.
and could not speak, since legal counsel doesn't allow us to do that even as public comment on there. So I appreciate his no change order girl question. No, so I do appreciate that. Just so we're clear on this, while we are increasing the budget, this 2.7 is not what our cost is. That's going to be reduced by the offset of the grant, correct? So we're just covering costs and then seeking reimbursement.
That's right. So 2 things about that. First, we need the full budget allocation, and then we seek reimbursement just as you described. So we have to have that approved by the board. And then secondly, I just wanted to point out that when you hear the increase in budget, that's just a matter of when we start off a project, we only budget in that year for what we need. So we don't have a carrying cost. And now when we're about to go into a construction contract, then we ask for the full amount. So it's really not a big increase, the increase that it implies, going from the $731,000 to the $2.7 million.
Right, and so, I don't I'm trying to flip my page that's all stuck together. So we have also built in the contingency on this at 10%, correct?
That's right.
Okay. Which doesn't necessarily need to be spent.
No, it's a contingency. We would only use it if something comes up. And we ask for that from the board ahead of time so that we can keep the construction contract going and we don't incur any delay costs.
Okay. And what's the timeline on the project for completion?
Boy, you got me on that one. This one, I think we have a due time in this, I do not have the date in front of me. For the grant, it's November of 2025. 2025, thank you.
November 2025, we have to
And
be.
we will absolutely be done
Okay.
in time for the grant.
No, and that was gonna be my, my question, and you said we do have people on Zoom that are
Yes,
here
we do.
to. Okay, great, would love to hear from them and make sure that we're gonna meet that,
TKE is on Zoom, but we do not have another representative on Zoom.
okay?
So Shelby Kelly from TKA is available. And we did actually have Ryan Edwards from Waukesha appear on Monday. We-
Okay. All right, anybody care to comment
Oh, I
on
got a
being able to
question, yeah.
meet the timeline?
Yes, this is Shelby Kelly with TK Engineering.
Great.
We are, we're certain that the timeline is available as long as the procurement is met with the electrical equipment. It is a good thing that we did get the generators pre-bought, that the district did that, so that helps out with our timeline.
Great, so we're gonna deliver this project on time and on budget, correct?
That is correct.
Fabulous, I love it. Okay. That's all the question I have, and thank you for being here today to answer that question. I appreciate it. With that, move for approval.
Okay, we have a motion by Director Dennstedt and a second by Director Risby.
I would just point out that we would accept ahead of schedule and under budget.
Oh, there you
yes.
go.
No,
Okay.
absolutely, absolutely.
Very true.
Director Gardner.
Aye.
Director Dennstedt.
Aye.
Director Risby.
Aye.
President Roten.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 4-0.
Okay. Did I ask for public comments on
You
that?
did.
Okay,
You did.
all right.
Jump Street.
Okay. So actually, just slightly off track. So public comments should ideally come probably after the staff report or before, or does it matter?
I think it's a matter of preference. For me, ideally after the
Staff report.
staff report, but I don't think there's a,
Yeah, the Brown Act says that public comment needs to be provided either before or during board action. So as long as it happens before the board action, there's a difference of opinion. Some feel that a staff report coming before allows the public to provide more informed public comments. Others view that the public comment can inform how the staff report is given. So it's 6 to 1, half dozen the
Oh,
other.
gosh. Okay, so now I have a dilemma.
You can just change it all the time, keep them on their toes.
Okay.
we'll just follow you.
All right. Oh, that's
The
scary.
prerogative of the chair.
All right. We'll move to item D, approve a capital project budget and award a pump rebuild contract for the Sterling Pump Station natural gas engines. Mr. Miller.
You'd like to hear the staff report
I
first on
think
this
so.
one? Okay, great. We're ready. So this went to EOWR also on Monday, and Derek will do the presentation to remind the board of the discussion we had on Monday.
Great. So at Sterling Pump Station, we have 4 electric-driven pumps and 2 natural-driven pumps. We would need to repair 2 of the natural gas driven pumps that support our operations, and they're currently inoperable. Right now, we're operating on the electric-powered pumps, and they're holding up just fine, but the lack of operational gas engines makes us vulnerable during extended power outages. It's another, it runs off of natural gas, so that would give us another source for running the pumps. If electricity's off, there is a single generator out there that can run a single pump. So it's great for us to have those natural gas engines up and running. These engines have been a challenge to operate because the fuel mixtures have to be set perfectly in order to meet strict air quality management district requirements. And deviations can lead to excessive heat problems and ultimately damage. We brought on-site technical services along with the original equipment manufacturer, Waukesha Pierce Industries, to assess the damage and to develop alternatives to providing the natural gas-driven engines. Their recommendation is to rebuild the engines with enhancements to monitor the coolant system and any heat buildup. So there'll be a lot more sensors within these rebuilt engines internally, so we'll have a good eye on any of the heat issues as they might build. And this will give our staff the data they need to operate the natural gas engines effectively. In addition to the rebuild, we're also asking to address an issue in the gas engine room. This came up during the engineering committee, and I wanted to emphasize these are two different issues. They both have to do with heat. The engines are extremely hot. They have operating temperatures in the 700 degrees Fahrenheit, max operable. Whereas in a room, I think a human has a maximum temperature that's much lower than that. And so the thing is that when the gas engines are operating and it's very hot outside, it can get very hot in that room. So what we want to do is we want to hire Design West Engineering to evaluate ways that we can mitigate that heat issue so that our staff can work effectively if they need to be in there. And they're going to work with our team to develop a design solution and bring back a construction proposal if necessary. Could be procedures, we don't know. They're going to evaluate it after the engine's up and running and they have data to collect on how the room reacts to the pumped heat buildup. So the ask today is to approve a capital budget of $800,000 for the Sterling Pump Station natural gas pump rebuild and award a contract in the amount of $580,985 to Waukesha Pierce Industries for the engine rebuild work. I'd also like to note today, and I noted in the last item, I misnamed the person. So Ryan Edwards is for this item, and he's with Waukesha Pierce, and we're available to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, actually, I have a question. So the Design West Engineering evaluation for heat is not part of this item, it will come after?
It's not part of this item because it's within the general manager's authority to hire that. It's
okay.
within a dollar limit. But we just wanted to note that we might be in front of you again, asking for something about to do with heat. And
Okay, to help with that.
so I'm
Okay,
warning you ahead of
okay.
time so that you're not
I would say
surprised.
the evaluation is within my authority, but likely recommendations for construction modifications to the building probably
Right.
wouldn't be within my authority, so we'd come back for that.
Okay,
But within the request is $15,000 of budgetary dollars to pay Design West to do the evaluation. That's what the board
But
is
we
being
don't-
asked to approve.
Right, but we don't need the board's authority to issue that contract.
okay. So the Design West is in here? I didn't notice the name.
In the table.
amount of money to do it is in the
Oh, the
budget
amount of money,
request.
okay.
The contract will come through my authority.
It's in the table on page 3.
Oh, I see, attachment, okay, evaluation quote, okay. All right, thank you. Any other questions from the board?
I do, but did you want to ask for public comment first?
I'm going to do it after our questions.
Okay. All right, just making sure. So here's just a question in regards to how much of our operational and maintenance budget has taken a hit on this equipment being offline?
Oh, yeah, that'd be a pretty complicated question because
Okay.
my understanding of the operations, and the operators are out here and they could address it, but we operate both electrical and gas engines. And it depends on the circumstances on which ones we operate. I mean, sometimes, I think the gas engines might be less expensive to operate, so they would operate. So going back and kind of recreating real-time costs and things like that would be a challenge to deter. I understand where you're going with the
Right.
question.
Just,
I think it'd be a lot of work. But fundamentally, the way I'd respond is, they were built because we needed both.
right.
And so we have to have both. And I understand the economic driver that you're trying to justify for the project. We could go back and really
Yeah, I
pour
mean-
into it if we needed to and
Yeah,
come up with that.
It's just kind of a question to know, because I understand the redundancy as well, but, just to know, are we getting the most bang for our buck when we're doing something like this, or is there another alternative, or do we do something else? So,
Well, obviously, it's staff's recommendation, so we've thought a lot about this.
Right,
Not having the engines would be a major problem for us.
oh, yeah, no, I mean, I agree with the redundancy, I was just asking for the comparables.
Yeah, as
on-
far as, we certainly have some analysis that we're doing on energy efficiency, and we can bring that back to committee.
Okay.
Including this, probably after we have these things up and running, we have some pretty good data. But we can certainly report that back to show, looking at electricity prices and gas prices, how we're able to flex off of those two.
Okay, no, that would be a good thing, just to have
Yeah.
just a overlying discussion with. And then, any analysis on the benefit of renting this out as a sauna? Just saying, so,
I don't think our marketability would be that great in the commercial
know.
sector, but
I don't know.
you never know.
I might be willing to test that out, so.
Public-private partnerships?
There might be something there, just saying, so. But yeah, I would like to know, at some point, if we're looking at the comparables, just so we can,
You know what I'd like to do, and this is a good thought, we'll make a note of it, but the operations staff has done an enormous amount of work on how we operate within the fluctuating market
yes,
of energy.
yeah, because I know you
And
guys have.
we should bring back kind of educational workshop item to EOWR so
would be
that
great.
you can hear all the work that they've done. And this includes studies using the team out of UCR.
Yes,
And it's been very, very successful for us, and I think you'd enjoy that presentation, and, you might direct us to do it at a board meeting, and also so the public, we get more public probably watching this than a committee meeting, and so they'd be aware of how much effort's gone into trying to save money and
Yes.
using the equipment to match the low power rates at the right times of the day. It's real-time pricing and real-time operations.
absolutely, and there's a lot of conversation right now that's going on about grid overload and what that looks like. And so, for us to be able to maintain our operations too, what are we doing in order to safeguard ourselves? So if there's brownouts or something, especially in the peak hours in summers when it's getting hotter and people are doing things, what's being pulled off of the grid and how are we making sure that we maintain our facilities? So I think that's probably a really good discussion to have at some point when, because you guys are working on that and getting the data. But I think it's a really good thing to share with the public. These are the measures that we're taking in order to try to not only provide you an excellent customer service and continue to operate our facilities, but just to try to be as fiscally responsible as we can about doing that. So, that's a
It's,
great area to
it's,
have a conversation about.
I'm really proud of our staff because they took on these initiatives themselves to say, it's really easy just to flip a switch on or off to
Yes.
operate. But we want to be smarter about when we flip it on or off
Yeah.
to save our customers money.
Absolutely. And what's the timeline on this? Because I know timelines right now with the market and some of the things going on and,
It's an on-site rebuild.
Okay.
Certainly, there are some parts involved. So there's not the same grant deadline that we have with this one. We're probably going to go in there and do as soon as we authorize these guys, they'll come in and they'll start doing a tear down. But we want to see what it looks like.
Right.
And make sure we get all the forensics in before we we rush it back into operation. So we
Right.
don't have a
Any-
firm deadline on that yet.
Any concerns with any significant parts that we may have trouble getting a hold of?
Not that I know of. We certainly have online our sales representative from Waukesha. Waukesha, have you seen anything in the market as far as any parts we might need?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
No, we don't foresee any major supply chain issues with the scope of work and with the parts that we've identified that we're going to need. We have about 30-something branches across the country, so lots of inventory to pull from. So we should be good in that regard.
Great, and no problem staying on budget, correct?
No, ma'am.
Great, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I'm
Thank
happy
you.
to move this item.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. But before we vote, do we have any public comments?
We do not.
Madam President, I do have a quick comment, if I
You
I may.
please, yes.
This, I think, is really important to get repaired as quickly as we can. You never know for sure what's going to happen with the electric grid, and having natural gas backup makes a very big difference. Electricity is generally more expensive than natural gas, so often you would want to you save more if you're displacing Edison electricity than if you're displacing RPU electricity, which is what supplies Sterling Pump Station. But I think there is probably still a savings. So natural gas is cheaper, but then you get into things like the natural gas powers a diesel engine, which as it runs, wears itself out more than an electric motor does. So just all kinds of, it's very complicated. Try to figure that out and decide exactly what is most cost effective. But this is something we really need to do. I am concerned about the early failure of the engines. They didn't have many hours on them, and that gives me some pause. But regardless of the cause, we need to fix it.
Okay,
That's it.
thank you.
Thank you.
I think we're ready for the vote.
Director Gardner.
Aye.
Director Denstedt.
Aye.
Director Risby. Aye. President Roten.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries 4-0.
Thank you, directors.
Now we'll move into reports. General Counsel.
Good morning, Madam President. I do not have any reports this morning.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. General Manager.
I have a few.
Oh, really?
I'll start with, you may have noticed that Tammy has a guest partner with her today. Victor Cano is sitting in from our IS group. You've heard us talking about our software system for the agenda management. And yeah, we're really frustrated. And so Victor's sitting here to watch what's happening to the screen and to the software as Tammy's working through it, because, you know, we're kind of getting some of these pointing fingers at each other between the software companies saying that our system and our firewalls and servers are not cooperating, and we disagree. So we've got our computer experts here to
Nice.
watch it happen real time, because we got to come up with a fix, or we got to go a different direction. And so we're really having a lot of conversations. Tammy and I talk about this all the time. It's certainly very frustrating for Tammy, and I think she literally had to kind of abandon the software system and put our package together manually, which is not good because we're paying money so we don't have to do that anymore. So I don't know. We're on it. We gotta figure out what we're gonna do and either make a change or make it work. So that's an internal thing, but the board sees the results of the problems that we're having, which is very frustrating for us. We don't want this to elevate to the board level. Okay, enough of that. Our bill, SB 72, Caballero's our author, CMUA is the sponsor. It has a hearing date, so it's set for hearing next week on April 8th. We did a massive call for support, which I think will be very, very successful. It's at the Senate Natural Resources Committee. That means starts at 9 o'clock on the 8th. So we'll be watching very carefully how that goes. We're getting a lot of support. I got a email from the state golf associations that they are in support, and they went around lobbying and talked to 21 legislators last week and got them all to support the bill. So that's good. You like when the golfers are on your side.
That's really good.
Let's see, other activities. I'll kind of run through a whole bunch of them here quickly. Remember the Water Solutions Summit group that we're a part of and initiated, and that's where this bill came out of. We're starting the planning process for that next meeting, which will be later this summer, likely in July. We're still working on that. Had a meeting with Todd Corbin at Watermaster to talk about Watermaster issues, make sure our board members are prepared for what's happening at Watermaster. I've been invited to be on 2 panels. I'm going to moderate a panel at Aqua and then be on another panel at Aqua. So Michael and myself have been meeting with Aqua staff to plan that. And they kind of asked if I'd moderate and then asked if I'd put the panel together. So Michael's, of course, doing all the work. So we're pulling the panel together. So that'll be fun. And then the other panel is going to be on budget-based rates. And so we're anxious. It's kind of one of those compare and contrast. You know, Western, you have budget-based rates. Some other agencies don't. What's a better way to go? So that'll be interesting. So a couple of panels up at Aqua. We had our joint, our 2x2 meetings with both Rancho and Elsinore. I had a great meeting with Heather Dyer. We meet regularly talking about everything from SAPA issues to Santa Ana River Watermaster issues, but predominantly these days talking about San Bernardino Basin and the optimization plan, and you know the importance of that optimization plan, which went to committee Monday, and it'll come before the board next board meeting. Still super active at MET on the long-term planning and business modeling subgroups. We will go on the 22nd of April to the camp long-term planning meeting with our first real report on the business model activities and recommendations that come out of the business model. I think we're going to have 9 recommendations. Why do I say I think? Because literally today we're working on the final report and the PowerPoint presentation. It's a little bit frustrating the way that works out is yesterday they told us that the Met staff informed us that we need to put together the PowerPoint, we being a group of general managers, and we need to have it done by today. So we had a little less than 48 hours. So Ryan and Josh are helping me out, and we'll make sure that we get our comments in. Elsinore invited me last week to present to their board meeting, so I gave a Western update. So that was really good, really fun. Great engagement by their board. They're very supportive of Western and what's happening at Met, and appreciative of our hard work to keep Met rates down and help future planning up at Metropolitan. Mallory's been helping me on the Santa River Watermaster. This is annually, we have to generate the Watermaster's annual report. So we've finalized that. A big part of that is deciding how much water comes down the river through Parado Dam, and then it has to be classified as storm flow or base flow. And so there's a big effort by the 5 Watermasters to figure that out. And each agency comes up with their own, they call it a scalp, a very technical Watermaster term, hydrogeology term, or hydrology term. And so we finished that report, and we all agreed to the contents of that report, so it'll be distributed later this month and submitted to the court. We have to submit that every year to the court. We've been doing quite a bit of outreach on our rate adjustment program. So Rick and myself and Michael presented to county supervisors Medina and Spiegel this week. And then yesterday we presented to the Center for Community Action and Environmental Justice. My first time working with them, it was a really good meeting. And we hope to grow that relationship out of this, that we have a lot of common items that we want to talk about. You know, they're big on safe drinking water for all and housing and air quality and all sorts of things that we're very concerned about also. So hopefully we can build on that relationship. Also had a meeting with Chris Birch to go over JCSD and Western issues, a really productive meeting, talking a lot about the recycled water program out of RCRA and how we're gonna, we're in progress of building the infrastructure to get recycled water towards Harupa and also to intertie that with the Chino Basin IUA system for recycled water. So good to talk with Chris about that and hear about the bids and the progress on the contracts. Had a meeting with Jerry Brown, not ex-Governor Jerry Brown, but Sites Reservoir Jerry Brown. Big picture meeting on, remember we're on the waiting list to get capacity in sites. I think likely when they finally start allocating costs, there might be some people that fall off of the list that don't really want to buy that water. And then we'll have an option to bring that back to our board to move in. But really good conversation about Metropolitan's long-term plans and how Metropolitan's talking about Sites Reservoir. And Jerry, very in tune with Metropolitan, asking me questions about the business model and what's likely to come out of the business model, and will that change anything about Met's participation in Sites Reservoir. So really fun to talk with him. He's a super bright guy and very engaged on Delta issues and Sites Reservoir issues. Upcoming items. We are preparing for a presentation on heli hydrants. That's been asked a couple times. So we're targeting the June EOWR meeting to bring that back. We need some time to collaborate with our firefighter friends to see how that would work a little better and locations and things like that. And then I want to talk a little bit about our rate adjustment program. We do have a special board meeting next Wednesday, April 9th at 9:30. That is, remember, to set the public hearing. It's not to make a decision on rates. That'll happen at the public hearing in June. The April 9th meeting is strictly to set that public hearing. We'll do a brief presentation, kind of summarizing everything that we've been talking to the board about in the workshops. The hearing will be set for June 4th at 6 p.m. We'll be doing a lot of outreach from April until June with our communities to make sure they're well informed about the process.
I'm sorry, you said June 4th at 6.
Yeah. The final thing is water supply update. Josh let us know last time that the allocation went up to 40%. That means Met is going to get about 670,000 acre feet. They were going to get 669,000 acre feet. Now with 40%, they get an extra 100,000 acre feet, 760,000 acre feet. So little increases in percent is a lot of water at Metropolitan. Their full allocation member is about 2 million acre feet. So these little increases are really important. And, there's an opportunity that maybe it might go up again. I know in the Sierras it's been snowing all week. So that's really good news for the State Water Project. Happy to answer questions. That's all I have as updates.
Wow. Any questions? Any questions? Mike, no? Okay, thank you for that, Craig. It's very obvious that you are super busy doing really good things, so thank you. We will move to director's reports and requests. The first one is SAPA.
Okay, SAPA met yesterday, as did two of their three project committees. The PA 23 committee, which is the Santa Ana River Conservation and Conjunctive Use Program, or SARCUP, did two things. The committee adopted the SARCUP budget for fiscal year '26 and modified, agreed to ask for an extension of time for completing SARCUP projects. The belief is that DWR will approve that. There have been conversations between SAPA staff and DWR representatives. There are a couple of projects that have been delayed and can be further delayed by a number of things. Right now, the concern is nesting protected birds and need to work in the area where they are or may be. And as soon as the birds show up, work has to stop, and it can't start again until nesting season is over. So that would bump up against the deadline as it exists today, but everybody seems very confident that the extension will be approved. And then they received a really detailed update on all of the SARCUP projects from every one of the entities that has gotten some of that money. Josh represented us and did a great job. No, Ryan, sorry.
All the same.
Yeah,
The double O
yeah.
and the agents.
Yes.
There it is, okay.
Ryan did, and did a really good job. Overall, the project has done some really amazing things that allows us, all the involved parties, to share water, to capture and store water that we weren't able to previously. And it's a very beneficial project. It should wrap up sometime next year, most likely. The SAPA Commission itself approved a contract for securing their lobby. Right now, anybody can walk through the front door and walk anywhere in the building. And there's nothing physical that stops them from doing that. So there is a design for some security measures. There will be some ADA upgrades at the same time. So that was approved. Also authorized general manager to execute a contract with Water Systems Consulting to implement a monitoring plan for Santa Ana River Reach 3 total dissolved solids. It's a requirement from the regional board. Also authorized general manager to send a letter of support for Senate Bill 72. So that should be in the mail today, I believe.
Great.
And authorized the SAPA budget for fiscal years '26 and '27. And the PA 24 committee, which is the brine line, also met. They approved an updated sewer system management plan. There are still a limited number of places where raw sewage is put into the brine line. It gets treated by Orange County Sanitation District before it is discharged to the ocean. But a spill from the brine line counts as a sewer spill, same as our collection system. That system is, the regulations are tightening on that. There are more things that have to be actively monitored, actively reported, actively planned for. So we have a fancier, newer SSMP. And last thing was we received a final report on Reach 4D of the brine line, which has some of the older pipe in it. It's okay for now, but probably within the next 10 years, they're going to have to line that section. It's a reinforced concrete pipe that has a steel sort of horseshoe-shaped shield on the upper portion. The bottom of the pipe is just exposed concrete. And when the flows were lower, they got some deterioration of the concrete going back up under the edge of the seal. So that's what they're going to have to deal with. But it's good for now. There's no risk of a failure. But they are going to have to spend some money and some time and effort on that coming up. And that's it for Saco.
Okay, thank you. We will move on to Metropolitan Water District.
So I don't have really an update for Metropolitan per se in any meeting, but we did take a tour for the Pure Water Project this last Friday, and I wanted to thank my colleagues for joining me on that. And just kind of wanted to hear a little bit from you guys maybe of what your thoughts were on the presentation, the tour, the questions, some of the comments that were made over Pure Water. We're still under the information gathering portion, so, you know, it's a significant cost that's associated with that for, you know, what's going on with Pure Water. So just wanted to get kind of a sense of how you guys like the tour, what your thoughts are.
Just for clarification, a brief response by each board member is fine, but we want to make sure it doesn't turn into a discussion because it's listed as a report.
No, absolutely, absolutely.
I thought it was, very interesting, put a great perspective on, we've been talking about it just to see the demonstration site and hearing all the conversation, and there were good question is that it's, you know, it's so expensive, right? I'm like, the amount, I'm like, it kind of gives you an idea of like, is it worth it for us to invest in so much? So that was my take from the tour was like, do we have any alternate? I'm like, why do we invest in so much of what, you know? It was a great, but the tour was really good. Questions were good. You know, seeing the site and the process demonstration was really, you know,
Good.
great.
I thought the tour was good. It was nice to see it. The site that it's located on is huge. I'd never seen that treatment facility. It dwarfs everything that we have, if you put it all together. It was an educational presentation, but it was also a sales presentation. The staff that put the presentation on really like this project. It's their baby. They want to see it happen, and that came through. The one thing that really caught my mind was they said, when you first get to build out, it's probably going to run, they said, about $3,000 an acre foot, but it's going to come down to under $1,200. And that part I was unable to compute. I do not understand that math, and so cost clearly is a concern with the project. I don't think anybody thinks it's a bad project, but the real question, I believe, is what's the right timing for it? Should there be another project that provides water before that one or not?
And I would just add, you know, pretty much ditto with my colleagues' comments. I thought it was, as I've been on a couple different Met inspection tours, whether they be a day trip or an overnight, and they're always, in my opinion, so well planned, and they take advantage of even your time on the bus with videos and discussions and taking questions. And so it was definitely a good educational tour, and I think it always helps to see something. I kept wondering, Pure Water isn't built yet. What in the world are we going to see? Not knowing that there was this demonstration plant or facility. So I think it's good that they're doing that and that they're educating folks. One of the things that stood out to me were the choices basically of the three main projects, whether it be Pure Water, the Delta, or Sites, and/or any or all. And so there was, just a lot of thought-provoking things around that, and which one or two or all three are appropriate for now or for later. So I'm hoping there's going to be some, and there probably already is, evaluation of each of those dollar values versus the benefits. So I hope that that'll be something that will come out pretty clearly for folks, because it's going to be a tough decision. The process itself is pretty fascinating. I don't know how well it's going to play publicly because of, taking this particular water and turning it into drinking water. But the whole thing, it was, very worthwhile, very interesting, and I look forward to more discussion and information about it. I think.
No, and that's great. So we take that feedback and we, figure out what else do we need to talk about. We shared the trip with Eastern, and so that was really nice because I'll tell you, that bus was filled with very influential people. I mean, there were leaders from across the region, city council members, very influential people that have a great audience to be able to communicate and share all of those things forward with. So my compliments to Michael Hadley and his cohort over at Eastern for putting together the folks on that bus. I will have to tell you, though, that Joe Moab was on that bus.
Yes, he was.
And, and
Joe.
he kind of threw you under it, so little bit. So anyway, Craig, just saying. They did, however, were very kind to extend an invitation to us to attend their open house this Saturday. So just kind of wanted to throw that out there, that they would be sure to welcome us with open arms down there at their open house. So, and with that, that's all I have for Met. I will be able to give a report after committee next week.
All right. And Chino Basin Water Master.
Meets on the 24th.
Okay. 24th. And CDA meets actually tomorrow. RCRA, I don't think they met. No. Yeah. Next month? Oh, end of this month? Yeah, I know I saw something on my calendar. And WRCOG.
So WRCOG, I think the topic and the timing is so relevant right now. Water Task Force met on, last Friday? Or was it the Friday before? Anyway, it was one of these Fridays. So, a great conversation about the fires, the information that's going on. The heli hydrants were talked about. That seems to be the buzzwords. And kind of everything, all of the information gathering, all the sharing, all the lessons learned, all of the AARs, the after action reports for all of the responding agencies. These are all things that are really coming forward right now, and it's just the topic of conversation. So kudos to the task force for putting on such a great program. I think it was well received. They're always hugely attended. I think there were more than 70 people at one point that jumped on to the task force that I was watching. So, I think it's such an appreciated program and such a well-respected program that people are definitely going to watch it and have something to take away from it and share with their agencies. So great job with staff putting forward those programs. Really appreciate you doing your part with Water Task Force. And that's all I have. Meeting for exec committee is next week.
SERA meets quarterly, so we met last month, so a couple of months before we meet.
All right. And then moving to Aqua.
So Aqua, I did attend the symposium last week. Myself and Government Affairs Officer Michael Hadley. It was interesting, some very interesting topics. Wildfires, again, part of the discussions and some of the lessons learned and some of the things that were talked about, especially from, you know, areas that were impacted greatly by this. And then there was the keynote speaker, a conversation with Senator McNerney, who had some interesting take. It's just, we'll just call it that. And I don't necessarily know that a bunch of people agreed with his position in the room. So it was kind of an interesting choice for Aqua to ask him to speak. So we'll leave it there. I also was up there and attended the liability program committee meeting, which, you know, meets twice a year. And we are obviously a big player on that for, it's based upon the payroll numbers for this. And we did have a membership report. There are a couple of folks that I just wanted to highlight. We have a new member that has joined, and that's North Kern Water Storage District. And then there's several prospective members that were looking to join and participate as part of the liability program. One is going to, that's looking at joining for a start effective date of July 1st of 2026 is JCSD. So we'll look forward to them going through the program and being a part of that. They did give us a review of the audit for the liability program, so it was a clean, unmodified opinion on the audit, so always good to hear those types of things. And there were some very, very high scores in terms of any payouts, review process, and those types of things. So we got numbers. I'm sure that our finance director would love to get a hold of this and just take a look at some of these numbers in here and what this looks like for us. And then there was some talk about the state of the market. Obviously, there's great fluctuations with the market and such, but, you know, our estimate for the current situation, and actually was a pretty favorable renewal rate and ranges across the various coverages layered from 1.25% to 4%, which as reported were significantly below the overall market trends. So kind of a favorable report there. There was an anticipation of a 10% rate increase, which ended up actually only being a 7.5, which comes back as favorable. So just looking at those things, because obviously there have been some significant claims over the years, some significant incidences and things that have happened. So overall, the pool is still doing very well. I think it's still very smart for us to be a part of this organization and to have our dollars invested in this, because overall, I think it's been very, very positive for us. So just, you know, an update where we stand with that. And our next meeting, again, we only meet twice a year, so we'll meet again in September. So we'll have more after that. And if anybody wants to review the packet, I'm happy to share. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any director's comments? Director Risby?
I was talking about the pure water inspection tour, but we already talked about it, so I'm good.
There we
Thank
go.
you.
You're covered.
Yes, thank you.
Director Gardner?
Pretty much the same.
Okay. Director Denstedt?
Yeah, just a couple more comments. One of the things, too, that I wanted to mention while I was up in Sacramento and at the Liability Committee and talking with folks up in Aqua, I just wanted to let you guys know I did have a couple of comments from folks from other organizations, other agencies that talked about our outreach for rates and commented over the positive social media that's going out there. They've been tracking it, they're looking at it, and they're hoping to copy and model us. So just kind of wanted to share those little comments that I got on the side from folks that are looking at it, that are in the process or looking to soon start that process for themselves and want to see what our final outcome is. So I thought that was kind of interesting that I got kind of approached by that and said, hey, we're watching you guys. So know you're being watched.
In a good way.
In a good way, so not a creepy way, in a good way. And then I just wanted to make a reminder too that the Marietta Fireman's Barbecue, the second longest running event in Riverside County, is going to be coming up here on April the 12th. It's a Saturday, so it's in Marietta at Town Square Park. And so I just wanted to make sure that my colleagues were aware of that. It's always a good time and always want to support our local firefighters. They've had a rough season. And so originally this event was created because it was a volunteer fire department, and they did this barbecue to raise funds to support the firefighters and the volunteer organization. And then obviously the city took that on, and it's its own department now. So, but it still carries forward, and they still use the funds to support local programs, the explorers, future firefighters, and a variety of different things. So that's all good. And then just a comment, since fire is just where we're at right now and it's the hot topic, I had an opportunity to have a discussion, and so maybe when we bring up the topic of the heli hydrants and all of those discussions, the fire map came out for Southern California with updates, and Riverside County is significant at risk. There's a lot of fire areas that are in bright red, which is not where we want to be in this map. So just a conversation and discussion about where we sit, where our facilities sit within that map, and what we're doing to try to protect and safeguard ourselves for what is a significant risk area. So just, as we're looking at that. And then just wanted to remind everybody too, the Southern California Water Coalition lunch will be at the end of the month at Wilson Creek, and Carla Nemeth is scheduled as the keynote speaker for that. So just wanted to make sure that was on everybody's calendars. If you hadn't heard yet, I've gotten an invitation to be at Met's table, so I will be attending with them, but wanted to make sure you guys were aware of that. So, and I think that is all my notes. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. The only comment that I have is I can't remember if the MODOC event was since our last board meeting. Was it? Okay. So I should just share that I was able to attend that. And what triggered my memory was you were talking about the Water Task Force, which was the next morning.
The next morning.
Yes. So, which I also was able to log on to that. But the MODOC event was very nice. Devin, I hope I say this right, Upadhyay from Metropolitan Water was the main speaker. And forgive me, I don't remember the gentleman's name. It might come to me like this afternoon that did the moderating. In fact, you introduced me to him before it
Larry
started.
Dick from-
Yes.
Yes.
He did I thought, a great job. I see why they chose him to be the
Yes.
moderator. Yeah,
was good.
he was really good, so.
And I found out he's an actual registered auctioneer. So
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, yeah. So that was a really, I thought, worthwhile event, and I was glad to be able to be there. That was my comment, so I think, do we have any future agenda item requests? No, I'm not hearing or seeing any, so we may move into closed session. Do you need a time, or?
Right, usually
Oh,
General Counsel will make an
yes.
announcement.
Yeah, we'll
My
be going into
apologies.
closed session to discuss the 3 items that are listed on the agenda. We don't anticipate any reportable action, but we will be reporting it anyway.
We'd like to start at like 10:45. We have to set up the Zoom
Okay.
in there, so we'll 5-minute break if anyone needs some time.
Thank you, we're in closed session.
Hey, Tim. In progress.
Whoops. Oh.
We could just make note of that.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Ballinger, would you like to report on our closed session, please?
Yes, Madam President, there was one reportable item from closed session. The board voted 4-0 with Board Member Denstedt making the motion and Board Member Rizvi seconding that to initiate litigation. More details will be available once service is effectuated.
Okay, thank you for that report out. And our next meeting is Wednesday, April 16th, here at 9:30. And we are adjourned at whatever
11:50.
official time, 11, oh, and the clock matches. Okay, 11:50.
Thank you very much.